As always, I just wanted to thank all of you for joining me in this practice. I think we've been doing this for about 2 months, and I've certainly noticed big changes in the way in which I experience the world, just because it's been a regular practice. And I know that most of you have joined me before, or you have other meditation or mindfulness practices. There are so many different types of meditations out there, and I believe that every single one of them is good and can serve us in different parts of our journey, this journey we call life. But one thing I've realized is very often you're going to notice that it's the same old teachings, the same old practices, almost a repetition of the same words directing you to your breath, to your senses. And before we begin, I think it's very important. This is something I do almost every day when I sit down to practice with you. It's just to remind myself that even if the words are the same, same as some of the guidance I've given you, same as the guidance other facilitators or teachers have given you, there's always something new, and that new part is you. That new part is me. Because so much has happened since the last time we met. Even if your last meditation was this morning, a few hours have elapsed since then. There have been new experiences. Within your body, there have been new biological cells. Some cells have disappeared. And so there is newness in this moment. Every experience in this practice, in our daily lives, every experience is changing us, helping us to develop better understandings. And in many ways, that's what this practice is about, to notice what the world around us is teaching us, how we are being guided. And there are so many similarities to the practice that we do, to that of the ancient civilizations. Shamanism, the shamans of South America, the Native American Indians, their belief system, it involved treating the whole planet, the flowers, the trees, the grass, the animals, the birds, the insects, the clouds, the stones underneath them, the water that flowed in the streams and the rivers around them, the mountains. They were constantly in communication with nature, believing that nature was speaking to them, teaching them how to behave, how to be in harmony, how to live in harmony, how to revere and respect. And so many of these cultures, they had to hunt for sustenance. But when you study their belief systems, they asked for permission before they took another life. And when they did, they used every part of the animal, they revered it. And so there was so much respect. And in today's practice, this practice of mindfulness is very similar, because we are looking at the world around us constantly. We are learning to understand the language. Even when those people around us can say hurtful words, they can do actions that upset us. Every single one of these experiences are sharpening our understanding of what we like, what we want, and what we do not want. And from there we learn, we make peace, and we learn how to create our future. And so it's not about saying yes to injustice, but simply to making peace with it, so that we can now move on. I do hope that makes sense. But I always feel it's important for us to remind ourselves why we are practicing. Because otherwise it just becomes a single hour in 24 hours where we zone out and we continue with many of the patterns and habits that we've been living in the past. But now through this practice, you will bring a greater degree of awareness to every moment and use every moment as it was a friend. And this morning I heard, I was listening to a teacher who likened meditation to riding a bicycle. And basically what this teacher said is that for many of us, life can feel quite scary, quite uncertain, especially at times like this when we face viruses like the one that is currently making its rounds, financial uncertainties, relationships, and sometimes we move through these experiences in fear, in unease. And he said it's very much like riding a bicycle without learning to balance. He said, when you try to ride a bicycle without first learning how to balance, every part of the journey feels scary. Maybe occasionally when you go down the slope and you get that short glimpse of balance, it feels exhilarating and exciting, but then you realize you have to stop, and then it becomes scary. And so he said meditation is the process where is the most important part of our life, where we learn how to balance the bicycle before beginning the journey. And that's what we're doing. So let's begin. And when I say begin, I mean truly begin, almost as though this was the first time we were ever sitting down to practice meditation, mindfulness, whatever it is you want to call this. And so I'm going to ring the bell. And when I ring the bell, we will invite ourselves to inhabit our bodies, recognize all those sensations that tell us that our bodies are here, sitting on these cushions, on these chairs, on these mattresses. And then we want to find out what the temperature of the room is. We want to awaken the sensors around our body, our skin surfaces, so that we can also learn a little bit more about the temperature that surrounds us. Why stop there? Let's also explore our clothing. The fabric of clothing that wraps itself around our bodies. And so when I ring the bell, begin exploring what it feels like to arrive at this particular spot. This practice continues into any of the other episodes in this series, should you wish to continue.